By the point of Out of the Unknown's debut in 1965, the BBC was already very well known for creating science fiction drama for television, which is in major thanks to Nigel Kneale for creating the groundbreaking Quatermass trilogy of serials in the 1950s. As well as this iconic creation by Kneale, there were other big sci-fi creations done on TV at the time, such as the Target, Luna and the three Pathfinder serials in the early 1960s, but with one of the most noteworthy ones being Doctor Who, a show which is still going on today, almost 60 years on. From what I have seen in early BBC sci-fi, it was not too unusual for there to be reused props or costumes. For example, in the Doctor Who serial Frontier in Space, for John Pertwee's spacesuit, the helmet from this delegate on the left of the 1960s episode, Mission to the Unknown, was reused here. Whereas Out of the Unknown also reuses some of the same set pieces, cast members, crew and writers as Doctor Who, such as Gerald Blake, Christopher Barry, Douglas Camfield, Terry Nation, Maurice Farey, John Wiles, Deborah Watling, Robert James, and probably tons more, I think it's impossible to deny that there are further parallels, coincidences, and overlaps between the two shows that are pretty crazy. One of the most interesting ones of which I feel is that in the anti-penultimate episode of the whole run, everything seems to come full circle with the instalment of The Chopper, which not only starred Patrick Troughton as the main character, but it was also written by Nigel Kneale as well. However, with regards to similarities between the two, I think it's almost obsessive with regards to the existing Series 2 episode Lambida 1. On screen now is a series of comparisons between it and various episodes of Doctor Who put together by @Mr. Reese on Twitter, and I would like to thank them for letting me use them in this video project. Whereas Lambida 1 does exist, sadly The Chopper and two other episodes I'm about to talk about here are victims of the BBC's wiping policy. Whereas not being able to see the legendary Patrick Troughton in an episode penned by Nigel Kneale is devastating for me and probably many others as a 60s Doctor Who fan, to me it's maybe not as heartbreaking as the missing parallelium I'm about to talk about is. Peter Ling's The Mind Robber was the second story in the 6th season of Doctor Who. At the start of this serial, the TARDIS crew managed to escape a volcanic eruption on the planet Dulcis by using this switch that takes them out of reality, out of their dimension. The Doctor and his companions find themselves in this strange void limbo, and here they encounter the mysterious white robots. The costumes for these automatons in question were actually reused and modified from the production of the Series 2 finale of Out of the Unknown, called The Prophet, changing them from an originally black colour scheme. Whereas this is pretty cool, it is the Series 3 finale, Get Off My Cloud, that takes the cake. The primary plot revolves around dream sequences and fights within dreams. In this episode, both the TARDIS and a Dalek are used and featured, with the original voice artist for the Dalek returning. Again, neither do The Prophet or Get Off My Cloud exist on video, however small audio extracts of both episodes exist. Luckily, among these extracts are the recordings of the sequences in which the Dalek gets destroyed, and also where a character in Get Off My Cloud uses the TARDIS to make a phone call to somebody. If you would like to watch a more in-depth detailing of how Get Off My Cloud came to be and what the episode was kind of about, then I would highly recommend the YouTube video, The Lost Colour 1960s Dalek Episodes, Terry Nation Army, by Dalek6388. As I stated earlier, there are several episodes of the show missing, with about 28 complete episodes and roughly 20 minutes of the little black bag not known to exist at this point. Some have been pretty accessible with regards to information in the perspective of my outsider's exploration of the show, such as Get Off My Cloud. However, some haven't been like this, and I haven't been able to get a good flavour for some in particular. Whereas there are telesnaps from some of the missing episodes, such as The Prophet, and then there's also the original short stories that the episodes were based on that I could go back and read, like in Isaac Asimov's I, Robot collection. We have the stories Liar, which became an episode of the same name, and Reason, which became The Prophet. A lot of the missing episodes in particular I've found to not have much accessible information in regards to what the episodes were actually like on TV. The reason and rationale about my look and perspective in terms of creating these videos led to me only using a few internet sources and also by reading some portions of the booklet for the DVD release. I bring this up as probably one of the better and bigger, more informative articles on the show that I haven't been able to acquire as of now is a limited edition book penned by Mark Ward, an expert on the show, which was released back in 2004, that I've heard has a lot of information and knowledge about the missing episodes of Out of the Unknown. My biggest help with the projects in general, I would have said, was the website Zeta Minor, which details a lot about the missing episodes, including what exists of which ones, inclusive of details that describe what is contained within the majority of the surviving audio extracts. This particular part in question was what has really helped me to get an idea for the show's lost episodes, considering the fact that I don't know if there's any real way to easily access these audio clips and listen to them. Not to mention that a lot of the surviving clips are buried within the documentary on the 7th disc of the box set, which are the effect sequences for the titles of the episodes The Fox in the Forest and Over the Android, which are the two missing installments from Series 1, as well as surviving clips from the Series 3 episodes Liar and Random Quest. The last two clips mentioned exist thanks to 1. An episode of BBC documentary series Towards Tomorrow entitled 2001 An Earth Prophecy, which featured 3 clips from Liar, and 2. Thanks to an interview contained within an instalment of the programme Nationwide, a single 17-second clip from Random Quest has been able to survive. I bring these particular pieces of information up as the clips in question have been retained in black and white, despite being from a colour series, as they were featured like so in the programmes housing these presentations. For the BFI DVD release, the clips used for the documentary bonus feature on the show were able to undergo a colour restoration process, which you can see some of the results of with Liar on screen now. Despite how much of a help that Zeta Minor has been, quite a few of the missing episodes are still really mysterious. 9 episodes from the show don't have any video clips or audio clips existing currently, with this group being Frankenstein Mark II, The World in Silence, The Eye, Too Many Cooks, and Walk's End from Series 2, as well as the Series 4 episodes Taste of Evil, The Sons and Daughters of Tomorrow, The Chopper, and The Shattered Eye. As I mentioned earlier, telesnaps for the show were taken like what I showed with this display, being of the ones belonging to The Prophet. However, not all of the missing episodes had telesnaps taken. Of the other 9 episodes I just mentioned from Series 2 and 4, only telesnaps exist of Frankenstein Mark II, The Eye, Too Many Cooks, and Walk's End, all of which can reportedly be found in Mark's book on the show from what I've heard. I would also like to mention that I've heard from the missing episodes board that a complete set of telesnaps were taken for the 3rd series, but went missing after reportedly being loaned to somebody who is interested in them. It is also stated here that there were also no proper telesnaps taken for the 4th series as well. Considering all of this information I've been able to gather, this means that the episodes listed on screen have no telesnaps, no existing video clips, no audio clips, and possibly only a good handful of existing photographs from the productions from them, and maybe a couple short summaries of the episodes and their plots. So not really a lot about them at all. This leads to these particular episodes being incredibly mysterious and even more intriguing, since I can find so little about them online, especially The World in Silence, as this featured Deborah Watling, and not to mention the Patrick Troughton starring The Chopper. However, with The Chopper, we almost did have the episode surviving in audio, and it is also possible that a copy of the episode in its original form still exists, as I'll get into. With regards to overseas sales for Out of the Unknown, as of now I have been able to come across 3 possibilities of the programme being shipped overseas. Whilst doing my research for this project, I can confirm that at least some of the show was sent to Australia, including the entirety of Series 4, not to mention that censor cuts from other series of the show were found there. More interestingly, I was able to uncover what appears to be nearly a 20-year-old event, laying more evidence to the show being sold to Australia. That I would actually say is probably a hoax, considering one of the more intricate aspects brought up during this. On the 27th of February 2018, a missing episodes board page titled "Duplicate Doctor Who Prints in Australia, Is This Proof?" People started mentioning and talking about how an ex-employee reportedly junked, quote, 300 Doctor Who prints and started to ask if there was any traces of this confession. Only a couple hours later on this board, somebody followed up with a complete quotation of the message the ex-employee supposedly left, also saying that it was made on the 1st of September 2003 on a completely different audio-visual form, which appears to have now been deleted. The message presented here in this post says, "Fess up time, and just who do you think put the axe through the Australian copies of the first 300 approx black and white 16mm telerecordings of the early Doctor Who episodes, only to find out years later that the BBC had junked most of their originals. It was a long, long time ago, in another life, but I will carry this shame with me to my grave, along with the destruction of another early BBC classic sci-fi series called Out of the Unknown. My excuse, much like the Nazis at the Nuremberg trials, is/was just following orders. God, what a waste." The only bright side was that some years later, whilst doing a bin search of the main programme vault, looking for another missing programme, I found one Doctor Who episode that had been misbinned and not junked with all the others, and it turned out to be, after consulting the BBC archives, the only print of this particular episode left in the world, The Celestial Toymaker. Alas, it was only one episode out of a 4 or 5 part story, IIRC, I've no idea what that abbreviation is. Still, it was returned to the Beeb with much thanks from them, and I believe it later went through a print restoration by the BBC archives. Shame, shame, shame. The post of this message, made in February 2018, later goes on to add in that this message was heavily disproven by the other form that it was originally posted on, basically saying that if this confession by the employee was true, the amount of Doctor Who episodes junked would have been less than 200. Considering this further numerical contextualization, I would have said that this is probably a hoax, although I should note that the Celestial Toymaker episode 4 was indeed returned from Australia, although the hoaxer in question, if this is a hoax, probably used that fact to kind of elevate the hoax to a much kind of bigger level and more believable level, I guess you could say, if this is indeed a hoax, which I personally think it is. As I mentioned, the Series 2 episode Level 7 was recovered in 2006, which was after a European broadcaster returned the episode according to Wikipedia, which appears to have been, going by the aforementioned missing episodes board, a recovery not too long after another Out of the Unknown missing episode recovery in 2004 with Tunnel Under the World from Series 2 again, after what looks like a lengthy return process for the collector that had it, with the person that had the print apparently trying to contact the BBC about the episode back in 2001. As well as that, it also appears that the curators of the website Zeta Minor stumbled across shipping information for a couple missing episodes in the 70s. In the clips guide for the 4th series of the show, it is mentioned that the Chopper and the Shattered Eye were apparently documented as having been sent to Dubai in the 1970s but not returned, with more documentation apparently saying that they could still exist. So there is actually a slim chance that both of these episodes could still exist somewhere in Dubai. To further add to that part, as I mentioned in my previous episode, found in 2011 and announced in 2013, Philip Morris managed to recover 9 lost Doctor 2 episodes from the show's 5th season. From something I read recently, he apparently found these episodes by using old BBC documentation to track down the location of these episodes. If that is the case, couldn't both of these episodes from the 4th series of Out of the Unknown be found with the same method in theory? Keeping the ball rolling with the Chopper and Zeta Minor, it is mentioned on the same section of the site underneath the part on the Uninvited that a fan of the show, Martin Townley, did audio recordings of, quote, a number of episodes during a repeat of the show in 1972, including both this particular episode and the Chopper, but unfortunately only the recording of the Uninvited survived. Personally, I'd like to see all of the lost episodes returned from this show, and I'd be interested in seeing a lot of these missing installments, particularly ones from seasons 3 and 4, I would have said. Get Off My Cloud and The Prophet are two pretty obvious choices as to what I would like to see found from the show, but I would also love to see more of Series 4 and Series 3 as well. It would be very interesting for me to see the other 6 episodes from the 4th season of the show, as I would be really interested in seeing what this particular section of the show got up to with regards to its horror and fantasy elements, especially the installments Taste of Evil and The Chopper. But perhaps my most wanted missing episode from the show I would like to see back is Series 3's Something in the Cellar. From what I have seen of the few existing photographs and set photos taken by designer John Wood, coupled with the pretty disturbing and interesting plot synopsis, already made it an intriguing and bizarre sounding segment, but it's the audio extracts, of which there is a whopping 12 of somehow, that make it all the more interesting and odd sounding for me. Here's the descriptions for the 7th and 12th segments from the Zeta Minor website. Fred attempts to tamper with the system's D circuit, with the computer relentlessly Daleks away to itself. Fred removes the panels containing the circuit and begins making adjustments. Suddenly the computer's voice rises in pitch again, and there is a sudden flash and spit of electrical arcing. Fred screams in agony, and as he pulls his hands from the interior of the cabinet, he sees that the screwdriver he has been using has penetrated his wrist. He grabs this and pulls it out, doubling with pain and shock. The machine's electronic screaming rises unchecked. Coaxed back by the hypnotic sound of his mother's voice, Monty returns to the cellar. The soothing voice intones, "Dear old boy, mother's boy, Mum's been lonesome on her own-some. Mum wants to talk nice and cozy on her own-some, just the two of us." At this point, concerned that he is suffering a nervous breakdown, Fred and Pew return to the house and discover Monty lying in a fetal position in the middle of the computer apparatus. The monitors are displaying in rapid succession images of his mother's face, with the echoing voice repeating, "Just the two of us, forever and ever and ever and ever." The last extract there would have also apparently faded into the credits. What a bizarre sounding way to end the episode. To my knowledge, the last bits of footage recovered from the show were censor clips from the episodes Immortality Incorporated and The Last Witness from 2017. So with this fairly recent find, this personally gives me hope that someday soon we will have some form of an announcement with regards to a full episode being found once again.